Hey kids, taking a short break from all the packing and organizing, had to go for a grocery run. Thought I'd record a quick video while I had a moment to touch base with everybody. I have a question for you though, something that I've been rolling around in my mind and trying to come up with an answer to, and I was hoping maybe you guys could help me out. Give me your perspective at least, so please think about what I'm going to talk about and make some comments on down below so we can get your ideas on it. The question is conservation versus preservation. Now let me explain to you what I mean by that. Preservation, let me start there. There's a group right now led by a renowned marine biologist, Sylvia Earle, her deepness, who I greatly admire and respect. Called Mission Blue, and one of the things they're trying to do is set up what's known as hope spots, H-O-P, hope spots, and these are places around the world where there's no fishing, and further limitations, like, you know, you're not supposed to be in there with boats or scuba dive, or certain different areas have different requirements and limitations. But the idea is to create a preservation, or a preserve, to allow the fish stocks and all of that to rebound to normal. On the surface, it sounds like a great idea. The problem is it's an unfunded mandate. Now, what I mean by that is it's a great idea that we set aside these preserves, but without a budget to enforce the laws and have some regulation and have some supervision and have some monitoring, all of these things cost money. It's, in my mind, an exercise in futility. On the other side, we have conservation. Now, conservation is very much like what the fish wildlife parks, the national and on state levels. There's a multitude of state game agencies and federal authorities that regulate and monitor game populations, fish populations. They are funded through something called the Pittman-Waterson Act, where we collect excise taxes on the sale of sporting goods like fishing equipment and hunting equipment. And then there's also the sale of fishing and hunting licenses and tags, game tags and fish tags, special permits, that sort of thing. So that's a conservation activity that is funded. So there's money there to hire game wardens and fish wildlife officers, and to buy the boats so they can be out on the water monitoring things, and so they can enforce the laws and regulations, so that they can pay for the data collection and science to make sure that the fish stocks are adequate and that there's enough monitoring going on. And in my experience, through that organization, we've seen some tremendous success. The reintroduction of wild turkeys, the reintroduction of white-tailed deer. My dad tells me that on our old farm in Ohio, as he was a boy growing up, there wasn't any deer there. Now there's a bunch of deer. That was a result of the fish wildlife parks people collecting the money that they had, buying and trapping deer from other states, introducing them to Ohio and releasing them. It was a stocking program. These stocking programs, these types of programs, are ongoing to this very day. Not necessarily in deer. There's been a big stocking program in relocating elk back into the eastern states. Certainly waterfowl is a big one that they've been doing a lot of releasing. I know wild turkeys. For a while there, my ex-wife and I were the state trap and transfer coordinators from Montana, relocating and restocking turkeys in their historic range. So conservation works, and it's funded, and that's why it works. It is fraught with problems, however. You have special interest groups that get in there and put pressure on the conservation managers, and sometimes the harvest limits or the permits being issued become more of a political decision than a scientific one. And so, you know, like everything else in life, this is the problem with it. But it's a problem that we've identified. We know it's a problem, and so therefore, once we identify it, its ability to be resolved is pretty good. We just need some activity to it. So my question to you guys, long rambling way, my question to you guys is, which is better? I mean, are we better off to have preserves where no one's allowed in there at all? And if we have a preserve, how do we fund that? How do we finance the necessary tools, equipment, and manpower to enforce that nobody is in there? As you watch a lot of these sailing cruising videos, we see in a lot of the less affluent countries, they'll have fishing regulations and what have you. And then you'll get foreign countries that'll come in and just ignore that. Even along our California coast, even down in Mexico, down there where there's places that there's not supposed to be any fishing and preserves set up, along Panama as an example. You know, they have Japanese and Taiwanese boats come in there and fish all the time. Big old rusty tubs come in and just, you know, clear out every fish they could grab because there's too many people in those countries and they're starving. So it's a problem to me to go ahead and set up these hope spots if there's no mechanism in place to fund them so that they can be enforced. It's sort of an exercise in futility. And to go ahead and to mandate a preserve area, a hope spot, with the expectation that the Fish, Wildlife, Parks, and Conservation that are already being funded by the sportsmen is to also enforce those laws as well, well, then that's sort of an unfair usurpation of the sportsmen's dollars that are there to ensure quality health stock, you know. Conservationists are an interesting bird. To me, the biggest conservationists in the world are the hunters and fishermen. I know that's very hard for a lot of people to accept, but they're the ones willing to put their dollars out in order to make all that happen. You know, the hunting and fishing licenses was voluntary. It was a ground roots movement to get Congress to pass the laws that enable that. So it was voluntary by the hunters and fishermen to go ahead and instigate that. I wish there was some mechanism in place to enforce these hope spots, but as yet there's not. There's no funding to enforce, to have the law enforcement, to have the science and data collection, to monitor them. It's just not there. So are setting up these hope spots a good idea, even though they're an exercise in futility, basically? Or should we be concentrating more on conservation efforts and working and trying to take the politics out of that and have it be more science-based? Just my thinking. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. Please do like, subscribe, and comment down below. I know this really isn't some sailing, cruising, scuba diving type issue that we're talking about today, and believe me, I'll be getting to those soon enough. We're at like 20 days, I think, and going to closing. So hopefully, you know, 60 days from today, I'll be on the boat out making the footage I'd like to be. So anyhow, we'll talk to you later, guys. Have fun. Enjoy your day. Please comment down below. Thanks.